Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Podcast, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Let's take a look at some stocks on the move on this Tuesday. With us is Bloomberg News equities reporter Bailey Lipschultz on today's Stock Movers. Okay, take it away.
One of the better performers, Broadcom, ticker AVGO, right now still holding on to a 3% gain, was up more than 10% at one point. This coming after the company announced it will authorize up to $10 billion in share repurchases. Analysts saying that sends a positive message. Again, just keeping in mind this is a $746 billion company, so pretty big company, but with a big sizable plan to buy back some stock. And it is also standing out against a semiconductors index that's down 1.2%, one of a few companies still holding onto the green.
Companies do this, right? When their stock gets beaten
You're supposed to buy low.
Exactly.
It's the downside when you're like, we're actually going to buy $10 billion at an all-time high, and then you top tick your stock, and less exciting news from there.
Get to the healthcare names, because we definitely saw as a group some movement here.
Yeah, calling out Humana up right now more than 10%, ticker HUM. We are seeing strength for United Health, CVS, a number of other companies is coming after some new rates were unveiled for Medicare Advantage and Medicare's ability to really pay and reimburse these managed care names, these insurance companies. So about double what Wall Street was looking for, double what had been penciled in. There's still some uncertainty about the path forward in terms of what the Trump administration could do to pinch some of these so-called managed care middlemen, as some skeptics put it. But still, a double-digit move, biggest rally since right after the election for the company.
I think what's interesting is it's a reminder that even in a day when, we're well off our highs, that fundamental news still moves names and groups. I feel like even when there's, volatility.
Fundamental news from Washington.
Fundamental news from Washington, yeah. But I mean, other than, tariff news.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
Especially when we're talking about Humana is a big company, but UNH at one point up more than 8%. It's $500 billion. Yeah. So we're not talking about a mid-cap company by any means.
Exactly.
There's a name on your list that we don't talk about each and every day. RPM International.
Really ever? I don't know how often you guys talk about sealants and chemicals.
I actually had to look this one up. I didn't know what it meant.
It's actually a decent market cap size.
$12.6 billion company. They do various specialty chemical product lines. Why is it on your radar today?
Yeah, they're down right now, 8.3%, the biggest decline since January 2023. So that's some real size and scope. Also trading at the lowest level since November 2023. They had earnings that were worse than expected. They also forecast flat sales for the quarter ahead. The thing that stood out to me, though, looking through some of the analyst notes, KeyBank basically saying that the results, again, backwards looking, left him with the impression that demand growth had softened in recent months. So that's before tariffs could be impacting not only the company's costs, which the CEO talked about how tariff situation could increase their costs from low single digits to mid single digits because of their unknown nature as it relates to raw materials, but also the fact that if people are cutting back spending and cutting back improving their houses, that does impact their end market.
It makes me go to the supply chain function on the Bloomberg and look at what are their biggest customers: Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware, Walmart, Amazon, True Value. Yeah, right. So or contractors and so on and so forth.
Can we look at it as a test of some sort of canary in a coal mine or bellwether?
Well, maybe they did say that they saw weakness because it was unseasonably cold in the south and also the wildfires out in California. So they called out those kind of exogenous events. But we are seeing Albemarle, which is the worst performer in the S&P 500, appear down 11%. So they're trading at their lowest level since March 2020. So we are seeing broader ramifications for an industry, again, that is heavily skewed towards supply chains that would be impacted by tariffs, and also just the fact that if your base goods cost more, that goes up the supply chain, and that ends up being something that Home Depot and consumers end up facing.
The Stock Movers Podcast from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.